This is a light language transmission for the collective wave of grief that many of us are feeling at the moment, especially the sensitives and the light workers, and also how that translates to a personal level. I found myself that there have been a couple of things about a week ago that landed on me that triggered deep grief. And through my sleep, I felt the healing of that come through. And for the next couple of days, the healing of where I had been unmet or I had lost came through as a release of grief. I had to be in stillness, I had to be in quietness. I can really feel it around my throat. And everybody that I spoke to, I'm talking like probably 4 people, all were having similar experiences. They were having a deep personal grief, and every one of us said, but it feels bigger than me. I was able to perceive it as a wave coming through the collective. I could feel how it anchored into the earth, and how that release of grief through the healing of being met transformed and reorganized everything around every individual, which translates to reorganized everything collectively on the planet to a higher, more healed perspective. And so as I've been kind of understanding this energetically, emotionally, collectively, and mentally, I've now kind of found other light workers like Lee Harris also mentioning the same phenomena, so you might want to look at his June video. And I just felt like it would be good to bring through those codes, those light codes that I have received in my field and connected to my tribe who have also received it in their field, and just make it available more widely through some light language and some healing. So if you feel like this is relevant to you, and you would like to receive this healing of grief, which is really letting go of things that we're attached to at the physical level. It can include expectations that we have of people or of outcomes or of situations. It can be a grief of how we saw the world and how we saw our life, or things that will never be the same again. But it's coming with the understanding that there is joy and there is another form of life and joy and expression that is available to us, not necessarily to replace what we've lost, but to understand that part of creation is destruction, and acknowledging what has been destructed as its value in our lives and what it taught us and the joy that we got from it, but also aligning to the new creation that emerges from that destruction. So it's like a death and a rebirth. So yeah, I think that's all I need to say about that. Let's just let the energy come through. Anti intama ina ara akanta a, isa ara imta ama ana a, isa ara ama asa aka a, inta ara ita anta ampenta anta a, inta impa anta anta ankantampa a, inta ita inta anka ampanta anta anka a, isa inta anta ampa anta 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 a, ira anta ama ana aka ata a. Feeling it through the thymus, the throat, and the stomach lining, the digestive system, what we digest and bring into our physicality, our physical reality. Anta inta ampa inka anta a, ara asa anka a, ara asa anka a, isa ara anta aka ata a, inta ara aka anta a, isa anta anka anta a, ama ara a, isa a. Feeling this through the clairaudient chakras in our temple area and the throat. So I feel this is about connecting to the collective energies, and crown is opening, so collecting to our higher purpose, being able to bring in and connect to higher information, higher knowledge, which we can then bring into our physical reality, what we do and say and be in the world. Ima ama ana ara a, inta a, asa inta a, inta a, ira a, ama a, inta ara a, aka a, inta ara ama aka, inta a, inta ara aka a. I'm even feeling like the lymph nodes, like under the arms and things like that, where they get swollen when you're not, when your lymphatic system's trying to detox and it's like overwhelmed with toxins and okay. So there's a real, it felt like a clear icy breeze just come through the whole system, down the midline, through the throat, down the midline, and just clear away like a fresh, crisp, clean breath of fresh air. And yeah, a lot happening around the crown, the clairaudient chakras, the ears. Ima ama arama ana ama ama rama ana ana ama rama ana ana rama ana ana rama ana ana rama ana rama ana aka anta ampankanta anta 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 ankantanta 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 inta anka anta inta ara anta ankantanta inta ara anta ankanta ankanta ankantanka inta ara anta ankanta ankanta. And the lips becoming more vibrant, almost like what you're going to speak, having more potency. Hand chakras activating, so energy coming through your hands into what you do. Irama ina arama ana ana ina arama ana 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 ina arama ana 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 rama ana 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 ana. The nurturing potential, having life force in it, the nurturing, the giving to others, being heartfelt and soulful and full of life force and potency. Ama rama 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 ana rama rama. It's clearing out the throat chakra. So if you're feeling grief, feeling this grief and allowing it to move through you and honouring it and being with it is really clearing out all these centres, especially the heart, the heart and the throat chakra and the crown. There's a point just on the hairline, at the front between the third eye and the crown. That's being cleared out as well. There's a couple of points there between the on the forehead, and they're being cleared and activated. Ira ama aka ana ama aka a, inta ama ana aka ama ana a, inta aka ana ama ana aka a, inta ama ana ara ama ana aka a, inta ama ara ana aka ama a, inta ara ama aka ana ama a, inta ara ana ama aka a, inta akasa ana aka a, inta kasa ara ana ama ana a, inta kasa ara asa aka ata ita anta ampanta a, inta ara amana inta ampanta anta ankanta a, inta rama anta anta ampanta ankanta a, inta rama ana ankantantanta a, inta rama ana ankantantanta, inta rama rana ama ana ana ama ana ana ankantanta, inta rama ana 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 ankantantantantantantantanta, inta rama ankantantantantankanta, inta rama ana Interama ana ankantantanta. Interana ama ankantantantankantankanta. Interama antankantampantankantampantanka. A lot of the centers down the midline being really cleared out and elevated. Aramang tankan 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 tampan kantan kantan panka. Iramanang kantan kampan tankanta. Iranam pankan tankan tankan panta. Iranamanang kantan kampan tankanta. Iranamangan tankan pantanka. Iranamangan tankan pantankampa. Iranang kampan tankan pantankan tankan. Iranamangan tankan pantanka. Iranamangan tankan pantankampa. Iranamangan tankapantanka. Iranamangan tampankantakampantanka. There's a lot of rethreading happening through the hips and the head. Rethreading of light filaments. Anaramanang kampantang kampantang kantang kampantang kantang pankantang kampantang and around the throat and the thyroid and parathyroid. Inarang kampantang 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 kampanta. Iranamang kantang kampantang kampa. Iranamang kantang pankantampa. Iranamang kantang pankantang kampantanka. Iranang kampantang kampantangka. Iranamang kantang pankantampa. Taramang kantang pankantam pankantampanka. Rethreading through the solar plexus area. Down the front, it looks more like the muscles and the fascia down the front of the abdomen. The leg muscles. The voice box. The fascia in the voice box. Imana ankampantan kampantan pankantan 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 pankampa. And a really big expansion now through the front of the midline of the head and up into the heavens, essentially, and out into the world. So I'm feeling almost like you can put your fingers through a cloud and part the cloud. So the cloud in the collective is being cleared and parted, and you can see clearly ahead. Yeah, that's it. So, as always, treat that like a healing and an activation. You can also call it an attunement to the higher levels that are available to us if we access them and allow the grief to move through. This is not just on a personal level, this is the new world that is going to emerge after all the experiences we're having at a global level at the moment and the imminent changes. So drink lots of water, allow yourself time to integrate and allow the emotions to come out and listen to it over and over again as you feel inclined to, as it will go deeper every time. Blessings.
I just wanted to add that I've used poppies as the visual for this because poppies to me represent remembrance of what's been lost, all the sacrifices that were made on the battlefield. And so we use poppies on Remembrance Day. And I also feel it's significant that that's on 1111, which is a master number, and the master number is a reminder that we're connected to a divine life force that moves through us and organises or reorganises what's happening in the physical planes. But aside from that reference, it's poppy season at the moment, and I have had wild poppies growing in my garden. I remember last year they were all in the grass and they weren't very noticeable and they got run over by the lawnmower. And I wished that they would come closer, that they would be where I can see them and where the lawnmower wouldn't get them. And this year, just during my period of grieving, I noticed that lots of poppies, mostly red ones and some purple ones, have showed up right up against the wall outside my lounge room window where I can see them, where they won't get run over, and right on the corner of my welcome mat as you come into the house, so that as I walk in and out of the house, there is a single poppy smiling up at me. So it's reminded me that I am connected to something larger and to all of nature and the whole world that somehow responds to my wishes and welcomes me. And I don't think it's any coincidence that it's at my welcome mat. So I'm welcoming the poppies, they're welcoming me, and if we can welcome this release of grief, it's going to welcome in the new changes that are really a representation of our collective consciousness's wishes for something greater, and the answer to that prayer as the divine in connection to the divine within all of us and the divine in the earth reorganizes and creates according to that greater will that we're all part of. So yeah, I hope that makes sense, and I hope you enjoy, and take care.